All right, we're about to dive into a question that might just change how you see, well, everything. What if that line between your dreams and your actual waking reality is way, way thinner than you think? We're going to be exploring a piece of philosophy that has some pretty profound and honestly surprising answers. Let's get right into it. So let's start with the big thought experiment. I want you to imagine you have a choice. You can live for a full 80 years in a perfect, beautiful dream. You never have to wake up. Or you can live for 80 years in the real world, with all the struggles, the challenges, the hard work. So what's your choice? It kind of seems obvious at first, right? But the author wants us to hit pause and really think about this. And this is where it gets really interesting. The author's first answer is pretty provocative. When you're talking about the actual experience of living, there might be no difference at all. That's a huge claim, isn't it? How could a dream possibly be the same as reality? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. So to get our heads around this, we have to start with our first big idea. We're going to question the very nature of our waking life by taking a hard look at the reality of our dreams. I mean, the text just comes right out and says it. The argument here is that we're all so convinced that our waking life is the one and only reality that we totally forget, what if it's just another kind of dream? What if this reality we're in right now is just a dream that all of us happen to be sharing? And this whole idea really clicks when you think about your own dreams. When you're in a dream, the joy you feel, that's real joy. The fear, it's terrifying, it's real fear. The love, the heartbreak, all of it feels completely genuine in that moment. A dream isn't some fake, pretend experience. It's a very real experience that's just happening in a different space. Now, taking this a huge step further, the author suggests that when our physical body dies, our consciousness, our life, it keeps going. But it continues in a state that is, for all intents and purposes, a dream. And just like that, the whole idea of an afterlife gets a total makeover. It's not about some physical place you go to. It's about the kind of dream you're going to enter. And that, right there, leads to the most critical question of all. If your existence just keeps on going as a dream, what kind of dream is it going to be? Are you going to be living in a beautiful, wonderful dream, or will you be trapped in a nightmare? According to the author, the answer is something you're deciding right now, in this life. Okay, so if these good or bad dreams are coming, where are they coming from? Well, this next part reveals that the answer is much, much closer than you might think. And boom, there it is, the central idea of this whole thing. Heaven and hell aren't places you go to after you die. They are states of being that you create right here, right now, inside your own mind. They are literally the quality of your own consciousness. And you can see it right here, laid out plain and simple. If your mind is constantly churning with things like hate, jealousy, and fear, you're basically building your own personal hell. And that's the state you'll carry with you. But on the flip side, if your consciousness is filled with joy and gratitude and love, you are actively constructing your own heaven. The dream you see is just a perfect reflection of the dreamer. Okay, so if our consciousness is the creator, how does that even work? This next part gets into the mechanics of the mind, which the author describes as a kind of two-layered system. I want you to think of your mind like a giant iceberg. That little 10% we see sticking out of the water, that's our surface consciousness. Our day-to-day thoughts, our worries, our to-do lists. But the real power, the massive hidden 90% below the surface, that's our deep consciousness. And that is the part that is truly running the show. Now, this is the part that might just blow your mind. The author argues that this hidden, deep consciousness, it isn't just creating your dreams at night. It's also the powerful force that is shaping the fundamental circumstances of your waking life, your so-called reality. And its power is absolutely immense. I mean, according to this text, your deep consciousness determines the very things we feel like we have zero control over. The family you were born into, the country, the period in history. All of these huge foundational pieces of your life are supposedly being orchestrated by this deeper part of your very own mind. So this is what it all builds up to. The final, and maybe the most important question. If our deep consciousness is really that powerful, how in the world can we influence it to create better dreams and a better reality? Well, this is what the author calls the ultimate challenge. You gotta understand, this deep mind isn't just random and chaotic. It operates according to these strict, impartial, universal laws. The text mentions principles like karma, cause and effect, and the law of attraction, where like attracts like. This means you can't just wish for a change. You have to actually work with these fundamental laws. It's a system, and it has rules.
So, what's the game plan? Well, the author lays out 3 big steps. First, you have to truly, deeply accept that this hidden part of you is creating everything. Second, you have to be brutally honest and look at what's in there, all the good stuff and all the junk that's piled up over time. And then, third, comes the great work of a lifetime, to actively purify it, to clear out the negativity and grow the positive.
And that right there explains a timeless spiritual idea. Falling into a hell of negativity and anxiety and suffering, that's easy. It takes 0 effort. But creating a heaven full of peace and joy, that is incredibly hard because it requires the monumental task of purifying that vast, hidden 90% of our own mind. And so we're going to end by turning this whole exploration right back to you. After everything we've looked at, the final question is the most personal one there is. If it's true, if your consciousness really is the architect of your world, your dreams and your reality, then what are you building right now? The answer? Well, that's your life.